fuck.
Walking around early in the morning in the dark, I nearly stumbled into this old well. And it turns out this was the old bore site at Mount Madden. While in the Mount Madden area, we took the opportunity to look at what new technology and a new bore looks like.
When everyone's here, Grace Shire, and they referred me to the Department of Water, and one thing led to another, and I didn't get the full story, but my understanding is it was installed after 2 really dry years we had, which I think was around about 2018, 2019, at the request of Lake Grace Shire to the Department of Water and funded through the state government.
At another stop, we scramble through the scrub to find a couple more nammer holes on this rock. Shit, that's very well hidden.
I may as well leave them like this because
There's one there too.
how easy to walk
Miss
past
them,
they
yeah.
are.
There's another one there.
Yeah, there's 3 in a row. They join up underneath. Because it just shows how easy it would be to walk past a nammer hole or a series of nammer holes. There's a series of 3 here. They're not connected underground, but I would suggest to you that the reason there's 3 in a row is that there must be some sort of fault line going through here, which is not expressed at the surface. Because people who know more about geology than I do, and I don't know much, tell me that you can have a fault line which is not necessarily expressed at the surface. Yeah. So let's take these caps off and have a bit of a look. Well, here they are in all their glory.
I'm continually amazed at how many of these old tanks and nammer holes we find. Not many people know about them these days, and I'm very grateful that these locals were able to share their knowledge. What is more amazing is the amount of work that's gone in to make these tanks, with all the blasting and rock moving. And this wasn't done yesterday with modern machinery. This was done by hand tools probably 100 years ago.
Well, you can see the lake.
Yeah, Panikin Springs.
That's the word. You started with a P.
Yeah, it's Panikin Springs, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's going to
As in what you drink out of, not that you're
Yes,
panicking.
that's right, Panikin
Yeah.
Springs. Yep, as a Panikin.
Yep.
Yeah. And there's a few old batteries and
Is it?
old fuel cans around the edge of the lake. So
Really?
yeah.
It's a nice little
Had a good
patch of
time.
trees on the south east side where you could camp.
Yeah. Yeah.
Building this fence at the turn of the 20th century was a massive undertaking for its time, and it was in extremely remote country. So water catchments like this had to be used to supply the water for the fence workers and those that came after them to maintain the fence. I don't really know, but I guess this tank hasn't been used for a while, and it is surprising that there is still water inside. And nearby are the remains of a small hut that was used by the fence workers to camp in, and at the end wall there is still the remains of an old stove as well. This is pretty modern fencing, and it's not designed just to keep the rabbits out. It keeps out kangaroos, dingoes and emus, and you can see the effort that has gone into the construction of this long fence, which originally went from near Esperance in the south coast all the way up to Pardue in the northwest.
Well, this is Nindabillup Creek. It's a tributary of Cowgenup Creek, which is a tributary of the Oldfield River. It was here that when they were building the rabbit-proof fence, they had a construction camp. They've modified the watercourse to confine water, which we will see. They had a camping area in the bush here. And the first time I came here was 45 years ago. There was a concrete plinth with the remains, sort of skeletal remains of an old wood stove on it. In about 1996, they changed this side of the road, and it wasn't a willful act of destruction, it was just one of ignorance. They flattened the whole works. The other thing they had here was an enclosure where they used to, I don't know what they used it for, but it was either a chick pen or a vegetable garden. But I'm thinking that the fact that this has been burnt within about a little more than a year gives us a bit of an opportunity to go and have a bit of a look where the camp used to be, because the reduced litter on the ground might enable us to see a few bits and pieces.
But before we head over that side of the road, we're going to come down to the creek and examine the old dam that was built here. And remember, we're in pretty remote country, and the fact that we are here is because someone has done the research to relocate these lost dams and wells. This is an example of why you need to be careful in the bush. This is just a bobtail, but it could quite have easily mad rush through the bush to find the remains of an old campsite.
It was 40 odd years ago when Andy saw it. I don't know.
And there's the fireplace. Ah.
Yep, we discovered the old fireplace and it hadn't been destroyed.
Get him go. Not yell out. Hey! Over here! Whereabouts? Just here. You see, go.
And then the fence is...
Yeah, pretty tight fence.
Well,
Thanks.
the old biscuits. Yeah.
Oh shit, we can't take it, it says the property of.
Oh, of course. That'd be stealing. You could be jailed.
Oh yeah.
That copyright, you know.
No, someone's been here relatively recently. There's bits of toilet paper on the ground.
One back there.
Oh, what's on my feet?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Know anything about glass?
Back up onto the ridge with the
It's
rock.
pretty thin, so it's modern.
Modern?
Yeah. But it's got embossing on it. VR, don't know what that is.
Yeah. Oh, very good.
Oh, Bovril. It's a Bovril bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little fireplace and
That's probably not that modern then.
yeah.
Do you know what Bovril bottles look like? They're little tiny things like that, and they had Bovril in it, which is a bit like Vegemite,
Vegemite.
Oh, right.
beef extract or something. Yeah.
Horrible.
Right.
Is it? Never had it. Oop.
Yeah. Ros is old enough, she'd remember Bovril.
Sure do,
Yeah.
yeah. Still use Bovril.
Still.
Yeah.
All up the track. All
Yeah,
up
okay,
here.
well this is
And there's a track
before.
runs
Yes, there
north,
is.
south, east, west.
This is where we're heading
Yep.
to this rock here.
Oh yeah. Yep.
There's a clearing.
It's probably not going
There.
to load now. Oh yep. Yeah. There's something there. Yeah.
And we walk into there and there's a nice nama up there.
What do we do without phones?
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah. I can't figure out. It looks like a yeah.
Stopped here because there's a clearing which is believed to be man-made,
and possibly the start of some sort of farm.
And here we go, heading through the scrub again to find another water hole. Water was so precious that any source possible was used. This is the first of 2 malleefowl nests we've discovered in the bush on this
Like
trip.
made out of sand.
No, like so fresh.
Oh, okay. I have, but not often.
Yeah.
The number of water sources we found on this particular trip is quite amazing. It is not a trivial trip to make due to the remoteness. There's also a fair bit of physical activity to climb up some of these big rocks and push your way through the scrub to relocate these old precious water sources.
It is. Yeah, that's like the one out the back of our farm, like things we used to go and camp at. Yeah, it's sort of similar. The rock's not high like this. Dump the sand.
This water hole looks like it has had some work at the other end done to make sure that it can capture as much water as possible and to retain that water for as long as possible.
Huge! Oh, right.
And there was a bit of
Oh,
that broke off.
nest.
Oh, yeah. So that's not going back on it, but that's it.
Wow.
That's it.
Section of the old road that used to go through the creek.
When I was walking up to this section of water, I noticed that the kangaroos had been scratching around in the sand to find water for themselves to drink. So I thought I'd have a bit of a taste of this to see why. And it was saltier than the Dead Sea. We found this massive malleefowl nest in a creek. It's a really strange place for it to be put because if there's any rain coming down, this is going to get washed away. In times gone past, people tried cultivating crops of all sorts. This was once a vineyard, but was finally beaten by the fact that the kangaroos and native animals also like grapes. Near the end of our trip, we had this opportunity to see the view from the top of the Ravensthorpe Ranges. At the end of our exploration for Namma holes, I stopped in at Bruce Rock, the actual rock, not the town, to have a look at these old wells. It's a bit sad we have to put signs there to warn people that there's a risk.
Looks like there's a couple of old wells at Bruce Rock. Well, maybe even 3. This one's not very deep. And this one looks much older, a little less developed. It's wood lined. And it is also not very deep at the moment.